Hi quilters, it's Stacy with Sew Steady, and we are so excited to be hosting our first week of our holiday gift guide, and that includes 6 weeks of deals and giveaways. This week we're kicking it off in our big way with one of our most loved Sew Steady accessories, which is our 2-arm suspension system. It comes in a cute little box like this, but you're getting 2 big arms like you see right here to be able to add to help you and give you support in your sewing room. That's right, that's buy one, get one deal on the 2-arm suspension system, which equates to 4 arms in your sewing room. This is such an awesome tool for being able to do free motion quilting, ruler work, and everything else that you might want, including mending your dog beds or even embroidery. It's awesome for doing quilting with embroidery. This little clamp that you see right here clips onto your extension table, your counters, your tables. It's got 3 inches of gripping space with rubber grippers to protect whatever you're gripping to. Then you clamp it really easily to your extension table and etc. to be able to secure that arm. Once you do that, you're able to go ahead and clip your project right onto the arm. I like to keep a loop in mind to be able to keep it extra secure. It helps with the weight a little bit, but this is awesome for doing all of the things that I mentioned, including even binding your projects if you're a quilter. So how does it work? Earn bonus giveaways when you sign up, and every time you sign up you're able to go ahead and enter for each of the week's drawings. Make sure to like, comment, and share for bonus entries, and if you choose to purchase the deal, you get one more bonus entry. Whether you're purchasing from one of our dealers or one of our popular resellers online, take advantage of that opportunity. Every week we're going to ask you to tune in for our next week's deals, and you're going to find out who won the deal of the week last week. So please join us as we celebrate our 6 weeks of holiday deals and our gift guide, and make sure to tune in for your next week's.
So, hey guys, thanks for joining me. Stacy was telling you about the deals, and I'm here for Odd Monday, and I'm just going to continue the fun with the suspension system because I have this quilt that needs binding stitched onto it. And some of you may have even done this quilt with me because this is my quilt from my class called From Beginner to Quilt. So it has 12 blocks to get you going. This is basic stuff here. So if you've never done the beginning set or whatever, join me. You can go on and you can find that in our university. It's one of my classes, Donelle McAdams, and it is part of the university. Again, it's called From Beginner, which means I don't know anything. I know a lot, but I don't know anything about ruler work. And so it takes you from beginner so that you would then have a quilt. So you can even see that in the middle of this quilt, there's a 25-inch, some would say medallion, some may say mandala. And I'm just going to show you the biggest struggle that I have is right back here. Yep, that's him. You can see that he is making his little bed right now in my quilt. So I'm going to have to shoo him away. But that has happened to me before. I get everything all set up. I get ready to work and something's not moving right. And it has to be that there's a cat in there. So now he's decided to go behind it. But I don't know if you saw, Stacy was showing you, but I have my suspension system back there. I have one corner. He's pulling on it. He's back there too. And I have one corner holding that. And then, well, that corner. And then in the other corner, I'll kind of go like this, is my other one. You'll notice one there in the middle that doesn't have anything in it. Actually, there's 2. There's one over here also. That's because I use those when I have a super big quilt, such as a queen size quilt, because it's not so much that they're spaced differently. It's just that you want to have it so it supports more weight. So let's get this back to where we can see what we're doing. And I've already stitched my binding on. So I've got that binding on there already. And I'm going to be turning it to the back and stitching it from the back side. Now, I'm pretty picky about this. I have to admit, this is probably one of the things that I'm more picky than anything else. I want this to look good on both sides. I can't quite deal with turning the binding over or turning a quilt over and seeing the binding on the other side looking kind of nasty. So what I've done is I have set my machine. This is set for straight stitch right here. I've got my regular foot on because I want a pretty good size footprint on there. And I'm going to adjust my needle position. So I'm taking that needle position over so that I can guide on the outside edge right there and yet have my needle just catching the edge of my binding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this around. You can see I have cut it up next to everything is on there ready to go. And because I don't have to deal with the weight of this, it's going to be so much easier. So what I'm going to do is I lengthened my stitch. I like my stitch a little bit longer when I put the binding on. And I'm just going to go right along that edge. And when I finish, it holds it down in place. I have carried this thing around thinking, oh yeah, I'll sit in the hotel and I'll bind that. Well, you can see it didn't happen. So I decided tonight when we were going to be showing that suspension system, I said, I'm binding that quilt. So I get that right where I want it. Again, I'm stitching so that this guides on the edge. Pull it out. And I used a 2.5-inch binding. People usually like to know what you use. We have a new bound to fit tool that is for 3-inch, which is kind of nice. But I just want you to know I'm using the 2.5-inch. So it was folded and put together on the diagonal and all that good stuff. And I used the bound to fit tool. And if you've never used that, take a peek at it. I do have on my personal YouTube, if you go to Template Quilting with Donelle McAdams and type in bound to fit, you'll find a demo on that because it's one of those things that's easier seen than it is explained. So you can see what I got on this side and how nice it looks on that side also. And I could not do that sewing this if I had to support all of the weight of that. So that suspension system is just, I just love it. And obviously, I use it for edge-to-edge quilting. I have done as heavy, and I'm saying heavy because that's what really makes the difference. Actually, I should say I've done as large and as heavy. It was a queen size that had minky on the back. And on the front, it was flannel and t-shirts. So you can imagine that was not a lightweight experience there. So it really was not difficult at all to quilt. In that particular case, I was using Donna McCauley's winding way, the 5-inch winding way. So I was working from side to side and doing that. And it worked perfect. It took me about 6 hours to do, but that was with a couple of breaks. People always wonder how long it takes you to do that. So I like to try to remember those things so I can tell you. I've carried this around so much, I've got some extra threads hanging here. So now I'm coming up to this corner. So I want to get as close to the corner before I have to deal with that. And again, because I'm super picky, I'm okay. This looks good. There's the front side, and that's looking great. And I'm just like, woohoo, I'm getting it finished. Finished is good. I'm going to go ahead and use a wonder clip there. And in this case, you're going to use either a stylus, a point turner, or something like this is a good stylus to use, because I want to get this right out to that point. I can take this and put it in there. Because we want this to be a miter on both sides and finished up in there. So let's just come down a little closer. And at this point, my needle always stops down, and that's what I want. But I'm going to put my foot up so I can get this and turn it back. Now, I might have come a little bit too close for you to see. But I want to get that right in there. Sometimes that little tiny seam ripper is the best little instrument to use. You don't want to rip through it, but that will sometimes be your easiest way. So I want to pull that back, get that flat, come right to that corner. One more stitch. One more. I need another one. There we go. And then we can turn it. And I'm going to use that to pull it in there again. Those are just loose threads. I can deal with those later. Looks pretty good there in the corner. So now, just because I've turned a corner, it would be easier if I would move my quilt to a different clamp. So I'm going to reach around here, get a hold of my quilt. I think I even leaned too far. I got a decorative stitch going on. I sure don't want that. So let's go back to my straight stitch. Sometimes that happens. It's always good to write those things down, because if it happens, then you can get back. Now watch what's going to happen to my needle here when I pull it out. It's moving back over because I got to move it back to where I want it. Looks like one more. So if you guys will just remember 5.5 for me, I think we'll be good, okay? So I'm just going to pull this in again. Guide right along that outside edge. You can see my point here. I think you can see that, how I've got that. The other side, not as good as I would like. I might take that little bit out, but it's still holding in there. And on the front, it looks good. So again, having that on there so that it's sliding and holding for me, and I've got my glider on. I will tell you, these suspension systems are just the ticket for when you're doing things like this. Now, what else would you use it? Obviously, when you're doing ruler work on something big, but it's awesome. You may not even do ruler work. It's great for when you're doing embroidery. So like edge to edge embroidery, or any kind of embroidery on something large where you want the weight supported. Your suspension system is just the ticket for that. So I've got this one here where it's supposed to be, because there's no real way I can get a pen in here. It's just not going to happen. So we'll do just a little bit more so you can kind of get the feel of this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut that so I can show it to you as far as how that's looking on the front. Nice binding on the back. Nice. So that you can do that so much easier by having a system such as the suspension system to hold that in place for you while you're working. Now, what I was going to share with you, and what I am still going to share with you tonight, for the Odd Monday part, I'm definitely going to encourage you to get involved with our stuff that we're doing for Christmas so that you can, I mean, it's hard to believe that we are now talking that, but I can tell you, my daughter put up a Christmas tree. She was on November 1st, ready to do it. And sure enough, she did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a different thread in here, and I'm going to show you what I was doing earlier with one of my classes that I work with. And we were using a gold thread. So I'm going to get that thread out. This is my bobbin thread here. Always make sure you hold your finger or your thumb on there when you're threading that so that it gets in the tension. And I'm going to get my other thread here for the top. I'm going to show you a couple of tools that I think pretty much everybody should have if you're a ruler worker. And I hope some way it's set up so that there's an affiliate link with it. Stacy, if you could do that for me, I would so appreciate it. Because I think a lot of you are going to want this particular tool, and you probably don't have it. And I will tell you, it is such a time saver. So I'm going to keep you in suspense for just a few minutes longer. Stacy, what I'm talking about is the, if you're still there, oh, she's not there. So I'm going to give her a call. So hang on, you guys.
Hi, Donelle.
Hey, can you get back on, and everybody's here with me, and put on a link to Donna McCauley's 12-inch straightaway tool, because that's what I'm showing them tonight.
Oh, yeah, right now.
If you can put a link on for that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah,
All right.
straightaway tool.
Yeah, do you have my affiliate number?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll grab it right now.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay.
So just like that, you guys, we can get that up there so that you can see it. But it is a 12-inch straightaway tool. And I have been working on a Thanksgiving, or actually November, wall hanging. So I'll show you that, and I'll show you how I use it. So this is the wall hanging. And down here, we've been doing a lot with our straightaway tool. So I will show you how I've been using it, and you'll see why I think you probably want to get one. Now they come in 6-inch, but I think the 12-inch is probably, if you're only going to get one, get the 12-inch. And I show my mistakes. Most of you know that. So when this got put together down here, I want you to see what this block down at the bottom actually looks like. I think it kind of looks like turkey tracks, but anyway. When I put this together, didn't even notice that this didn't come together right here. But the way I have quilted it, I think you're going to see that that really kind of hides that situation. So we're going to quilt this whole section right here the way that I quilted this one. And I'm going to be starting right down here because the whole idea is this is to look like the center of that purple, what would have been a square had there been another triangle over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm quilting this with gold thread. Do I have my needle threaded? No. So I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch. And I want to stop 1/4 of an inch here. So the beauty of this tool is I can set that, and if I set it like that, it's going to stitch right into the seam line. I want it to stop in the seam. I don't know if you guys noticed that's 2 different fabrics there. And we're doing 1/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to be doing is guiding on this edge and lining up so that when it stops, it's 1/4 of an inch away from my seam. So got that lined up, coming down here, putting my needle in, pulling my thread up. Well, I went again. Pulling my thread up. Wow, I got it on the first try. Put it back down in. I'll leave it there because that's where I'm going to tie it off. And because this is lined up right along there, and I put it where I want to stop, I just stitch. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to go ahead right now and tie this and get it out of my way because I just don't want to mess with it. I'm going to be going 3 different times through here, and I don't want to mess with it. So I've made my loop. I'm going to put this down in through that loop, knot it off, and the knot is actually about 1/4 of an inch from the surface of my fabric, which is what I want, because then when I go to bury this thread, and it's so easy right there in that seam allowance, my knot has enough space to get through the fabric and hide, bury, whatever you want to say, because I had that extra 1/4 of an inch there. And I can just cinch this up and cut it off. Now, if you need to see that up close again, I'll probably show it again one more time, but you could also go to my YouTube page called Template Quilting with Donelle McAdams and just search for tying thread. Okay, now this one, I need to go clear back up there. So I'm going to take this, the edge of my ruler is going to line up on the seam, which goes crooked. So I'm kind of going to split the difference. I'm going to bring this down so that it'll stop 1/4 inch from the edge there. You can see all of these lines, and that's what I'm looking at. And we're going to just kind of flare that out. And here we go. Now, I think you would agree that's a whole lot easier than trying to keep a ruler straight. All I got to do is turn that, and I'm coming clear down, which is off of my table, which is why I like my big table. So I've got plenty of space, but I'm going to come down here. And then I will adjust. So I want this to come here, and I don't want to come to the seam. I want to come 1/4 inch away. So that's lined up with a seam, and that's lined up with a seam, and I'm 1/4 inch away when I stop. I'm going to turn this. And because this is at an angle to that, it may not be as exacting, but I can watch for it because I am going to sew clear to the seam allowance. Oh, I got it right, you guys. It's right in there. And now I want to make this one 1/2 inch apart. So there's where it would be. There's where my needle is. I'm in the ditch. And I'm going to stitch right up that ditch. Now, I don't think I got far enough, so I'm going to go just a smidge farther. And I'm going to turn this. And once you get used to this, this is so easy to use. This is the line that's going to go on my previous stitching. And it may not look like it's there to you guys, but it actually is. So that line, that first etching, is on the previous stitching. I want to stop 1/2 inch away. So this would be right in the spot. So that makes right there 1/2 inch away. So I'm going to get that lined up. That's lined up. And I just stitch back to when it stops. And now I'm 1/2 inch away. These are 1/2 inch apart. We're going to pull this way. Go way back up there, and that's where these guys come in so that you can see my lines across this way so I can get my angles. And I want it to be on the line and down so it's 1/2 inch away. We're straight. I'll take it out so you can see. I am not quite there. Across from this, I've got like another stitch or two to go. So I'm just going to do that. Oh my gosh, I think I got it with one stitch. Let's see. Sure enough, see how that lines up right on there? So I'm going to turn this around. Line it up on what's already determined. I don't want it stopping there. I want it stopping here. And we're just going to go down that channel. So if any of you guys are out there watching that have used this, pipe in so the people who haven't will know how fun it is to be able to set these up and just stitch, making it so much easier. So this one I've got to come to the line. So I'm in that ditch. And I'm going to go up the ditch a bit because I want this to be 1/2 inch apart. This is the last one I'm doing on this. See if we're going to stop there. That looks good. This is lined up. And we're going to stitch. Oh, no, Donelle. You're way off of the kilter. We need to be down right there. Whew. You guys, I caught myself just in time. All right. So now that's a 1/2 inch away. I'm rotating, sending it back up this way. And I want to stop a 1/2 inch away from here. I'm lined up over there. I'm going to turn this, and this right there needs to line up on the stitching. I need to come in to that spot. And this is the last one. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to land in the seam allowance. And I'm going to just turn this like this and stitch in that stitch so that I've got it stitched. And then all I have to do is cut it, and I'll go to the back and cut those threads off. So just that quickly, I was able to get those 3 rows in there. Now we decided on this one, because it's kind of a group decision when I'm doing that. What we're doing is we're echoing a 1/4 of an inch on either side of this magenta color. And then we're doing this crosshatch like this. This is a 6-inch block. So all I did was measure, and this has a measure on it. So there's my 6. I think you might be able to see it. So I want to measure, I'm going to move it in. So I want to measure at 4 and 1 at 2. So all I'm going to do is take this and turn it, line up a straight edge there with my chalk mark, and come down a straight edge here and mark that. So let's see if I go up here, down, 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 across, back, up, and there, and down. So I can start down here and end down here, or I can start at the top and end up at the top. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to start at the bottom. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it in here like so. It's a 1/4 of an inch away. So all I have to do is line up this edge right on that edge. And I come right in here and put my foot down. You can see I've already even done a border around the outside edge. And that was with the sampler set of borders. It's not even the sampler set. It's part of the continuous border set. And it's super easy to use. Where's my thread? There it is. So I'm going to pull up that bobbin thread. I told my class earlier, I'm sorry I talk a lot to myself, but sometimes you need good advice, so you got to talk to yourself, right? That's the way I look at it. So those are both going to get tied, or I can go side to side, whatever. I'm going to tie it because I want to show you one more time how to do that. So I'm stitching up this side. You can't even hardly see it, to the seam. I'm going to come over to just right there in that corner. It's not even, well, it's just a 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to stitch down to this right here. So when I do that, that's where these little guys come in. I can put those right on that line, and I'm going to get right to that line. Or right to that spot. I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to put it on that line again, pulling it in. I've got to get it flat back here so that I can get right in that spot. I want this to go right across there. Turn it around. This one is now lined up as well as this right here, but it's a little bit, it's lined up as straightness. It's not necessarily in the ditch, but it's lined up as straightness. This one is right in line with it. And so now I'm going to get right in that corner. And once I get into that corner, I'm going to just stitch over. This will be even easier. My 1/4 of an inch. So I just need to come here. And we're going to go back up to the top. I'm in that ditch again, and I just need to stitch over that 1/4 of an inch. So you can see it's just that little bit right there. So I'm going to go over, and now we'll come down. Got to turn it around this way. So that's going to line up, that's going to line up, and this is just for straightness. And I'm going to stitch right down, and it stops me right where I need to stop. I turn it this way. I line that up. It's crossing just like it's supposed to, stopping right where I need to stop. And we're going to come right back down here. And our threads are going to meet because I'm going to stitch over that 1/4 of an inch. So I've done all of that stitching, and I'll have one tie off. Got one more stitch to go. There we go. So I'll take that out, needle up, foot up, pull away to get our thread, put it back down, and put it right back in that spot. So this time when I pull it up, that's my bobbin thread. I'm going to cut my needle thread, leaving long enough that I don't have to rethread. And this thread that's my bobbin thread, I clipped it. I'm reaching under and pulling the bobbin thread that's down there out. Well, I evidently didn't clip it. We'll try it again. There we go. So there's my bobbin thread. Let's get it up here. And the one that's still moving is the one you want to clip. And so now I have here my 2 beginning, my 2 end. I put them together. I take my fingers, flip to make a loop, pull the tails through, and oopsie doopsie, I didn't have enough thread. There we go. I got my loop. I'm going to take my needle and put that in place. And there's my knot coming down the needle. I pull the needle out, and my knot is 1/4 of an inch or so away from the surface of my fabric. Those are side threading needles, so they're very easy to get the threads in. I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to run it right underneath my fabric there. I'm going to go slowly, so hopefully you can see the knot pop through. Maybe not. It's right there. It popped through. I don't think you could have heard it, but I did. And my tail is in there. So now I was able to do quite a bit of space with 2 starts and stops, just simply because of planning it out ahead of time and having this easy ruler to use. So you can see that's chalk can pretty much come off there. So that just gives that a good design. There's an extra on either side here. And I've got this in here. Now I want to show you how I did these corners because they're super easy to do also. So I haven't got that stitched yet, but that's okay. These corners are actually 1/2 inch apart. And I will be putting 7 rows in there. So I'm going to start over here. And since they're 1/2 inch, I will be guiding like on that first etch line, needle down in the seam allowance, or not, excuse me, in the seam. And where's my thread? That's Ruthie talking in the background, you guys. She can't wait for me to get finished tonight. She's the other cat. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back down right there. And I'm going to show you that I'm just going to take this and turn it. And instead of stitching or doing the knotting, I'm just going to stitch right here. A few stitches down in that seam. It's hidden. Nobody's going to see it. And I'm going to stitch all the way down to this seam. When I get there, I'm going to be going in that seam allowance about 1/2 inch. Turning this, you can see it right there. Lining it up. I can't see around my camera, so I got to go this way. Yep, it's lined up. Stitch up to that seam. Turn this. Come down in that seam again. I've been doing this enough today that I'm a pretty good guess, because when you're coming down this angle to this angle, it's a little bit more than just the 1/2 inch to get you in the right spot. So come to that. Stitch in the ditch. Ooh, really good guess that time. That was a little bit too far. You can see I've gone too far. So I need to go back, which nobody's going to know. Line this up. One, two, three, four, five, six. This be the last one. And we're right in that seam allowance again. So I'm going to turn it this way because I think you can see it better. And we're just going to stitch across and back. And I can cut that because I have backtracked. So that's what I have done with that ruler. I've got, looks like one more up here to do, and I've got to do my cross hatching over there. And it's just fun to see what straight lines can do to add the texture to your quilt. Of course, I used a border design out here, and I don't think you'll be able to see it, but there's a smaller one. Well, I guess you can. There's a smaller one up here. And then what I did with this, well, this is going to look a whole lot better when I press it, but I used the same template I was using down here to decide that I wanted this kind of fun little thing to frame that up. Now, I am using a fleece, a fusible fleece on this. So reality tells me I really don't need a whole lot more stitching in here, maybe none, because of the fact it's not batting, it's a fusible fleece. So I use my straight edge to go my 1/4 inch across there. And I have already started my outer border. which again was done with those continuous loops, which is a bigger one. So it hasn't taken me a whole long time to quilt this. I don't know for sure if you can see much on the other side. Maybe you can. But this is one of those projects that, you know, I want it done. I want to hang it up for November. I don't want to have to be thinking a lot. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of fun doing stuff like this. And I've only had this ruler probably about 3 or 4 months. But it is something that I would strongly encourage you to get because it's going to save you a ton of time. I see on here, Rita Skinner said, I didn't realize there was a 12-inch. I love my 6-inch. I loved my 6-inch too until I got my 12-inch, and I hardly ever use the 6 again because when I'm doing long lines, it just makes it so much easier to do. And don't overthink this, okay? When you see something like this in this corner, don't overthink it. You know, it's a triangle. Of course, you could use a lot of different mini spin effects or whatever down here. But I saw this as a real geometric block. It happens to be 18 inches by 18 inches. So it's a good size block. And I just pretty much wanted to use straight lines. So let me look through here and see if anybody has any more comments on this. Stacy's put it on there for the connection to it.
Donelle, I was going to share that there was one question that came in about the suspension system and giving some ideas for positioning.
Okay.
I don't know if you already had a chance to do that, but she had struggled a little bit because her quilt was pulling through the clips.
Okay.
So I thought
I'll talk about that. So one of the things is you want to make sure that you, like Stacy mentioned, to leave the one kink in it, so to speak. One, I think you can probably see mine back there now that I've pulled the quilt off. See how they all have that one little kink in it? And I've got mine hooked to the back of my table that my machine is on because I think it's a little bit too close to put it onto my Sew Steady table. Now, there are times when I'm making even a larger quilt than this one. I think this one is 60 by 60. But the one I was working on when I started with the suspension system. But there are times when I'm doing a larger one where I will literally pull this table. As you can see, it's backed up to, actually, maybe you can't see, but it's backed up to another bank of sewing machines and a TV's actually there. But I can pull my table out and I can fit, like, for example, my ironing board back there. And I can lower my ironing board down, and that gives me like another 12-inch wide. I'm not talking about my big board ironing board. I'm talking about my regular one. And that gives me more space for my suspension to hold my quilt up, but also it gives me more space to, as I'm pushing it through, to allow it to puddle is, I think, the word that we use. It just kind of puddles back there, and yet it is holding the weight of it. Now, the other thing that if you're using it for embroidery, it's sometimes good to put another, like you can see my hand right here, come right towards me and put one on this side and maybe one on the left side of your table to hold it up off of that embroidery in it. Now, last week I was at an event and they had one of the newer embroidery machines. My gosh, those things are mammoth. And you definitely need to spread out your quilts so it's not hanging on those, because otherwise the embroidery unit cannot actually travel the way it needs to travel. So it's a good idea to make sure you have, maybe you want to get 4 suspension. And I think that's one of the deals this time, so that you can get 4 pieces of it because they come 2 pieces at a time. But I will tell you, you also get them with this on it. So this actually grips to your fabric and it will make it stay easier in the suspension system. So I don't know who was asking the question, Stacy, but maybe they don't have our newest ones like this, and those could pull out. So if you don't have this, you probably have the roller. Just let Stacy know and she can get you some pieces of that gripper. I don't know what you call it, whatever it is, but it hangs on and grabs to your fabric. In fact, you can kind of see it's grabbed my thread here, so I can get it off of there, but it has grabbed it, so it's hanging on there. So, and it does your fabric the same way. But the suspension systems are something that everybody that I have talked to that has gotten one has gone, yes, I love it. But then there's people that are like, I can't see how that can work. And that's why we wanted to show you tonight, because they really can help. So again, I'm going to turn mine back a little bit so that you can see. I've taken the quilt out because it's still hooked over. Oh, look there. She's hiding in there again. But anyway, it is still, I just leave them on there all the time. So whenever I need them, I can just reach back there and get them. And it just makes it so much easier than some of those other alternatives I've seen. My gosh, it looks like they're ready to pull a engine out of a semi tractor. And, you know, it's just, they've got so many different ways of doing it. And this is so easy because all you do is open up the clamp at the bottom, which opens up almost 3 inches. My table's only about 1 inch thick, so I don't have to even open it up that much, but it'll open up and it clamps onto your table. And then the top part, that clamp, I have to admit, I'm having a little trouble with my hands right now, and I don't have as much strength. And I literally have to take both of my hands to open that clamp up because it's super strong. And so with it being super strong like that, and this tape on there, I don't think you'll have trouble having that quilt pull out. So, you know, it's, if you have had, I don't doubt you, but I wonder if you've got this on there. Stacy, is there a name for this stuff? Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you understood how to use that particular suspension system.
Yeah, that's perfect, Donelle.
Yeah.
I think it's actually just wrap. It's actually sometimes used with in veterinarians.
Yes. Because
Yeah.
my husband calls it horse tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And it works perfect for this. And I can tell you that, like I said, my first ones didn't have this, but now all 4 of my clamps have this on it. And it does make a huge, huge difference. So
yeah. And then if you still have any problems, some of the earlier ones, we found that there was a few that had the clips that were a little bit loose. So we can always help with that too.
yeah.
Just give us a call. Anything that we've, brought in the last year or more has had tighter clips.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling him. I said, right now I'm having a little trouble with my hands. I have to use both hands to get those things open because they're so strong. So anyway, and so I hope you guys have seen what we want you to see regarding the fact that you have an easy way to do larger projects. Because once you have your Sew Steady table, you have your mat on there, everything just moves so easy. And it just makes it so much more enjoyable when you're not challenged at trying to get it to cooperate with you, is the best way to say it. And when I'm at a show, I'm showing people, I show them how it works for the suspension system, but I don't have a huge quilt there. And I think they sometimes go, oh yeah, that'll work on that little piece. To be honest with you, it doesn't work on little pieces because the little pieces are too little to actually get any benefit from it. I can do everything I need to do on this one right here without that, because basically it's not even long enough to put on those. I'd have to bring them closer, but I really don't need that because of the fact that I can, as I mentioned, puddle my fabric back behind there and it'll work just fine. So anyway, so I want to thank Stacy for allowing me to share this tonight. And also, I hope you guys saw why you may want to invest in one of the 12-inch straightaway tools. There's a lot of lines on it. It's also got the measurements on here. And of course, when I'm doing something over and over and over and over again, I get out some sort of ruler stickers or something to mark that with so that I'm going to the same place. But I love the fact that it's long like this. I think it was Rita that mentioned she has the shorter one, didn't know there was a longer one. I have the shorter one too, but I will tell you, I use this one the most because I'm usually outlining something that's a lot longer. So anyway, thank you for joining us tonight for Odd Monday. And I guess I'm trying to think in 2 weeks, we'll decide whether I'm going to be in town to do it, Stacy, or not. I can't even think that far ahead.
Yeah, I think in 2 weeks you will not be in town. I think you'll be
Okay.
traveling.
All right. So she's
So
got
I'm
my
sure we'll
schedule
have
going.
Kathy join in for one of her Monday lives then.
Okay. So you guys, as far as where I'm going to tell you because some of you, I saw somebody is going to be joining me in Morris at the Morris Sewing Center. So I'm going to be in near the St. Louis area next week. I told you I was going to be in Novi this week, but near St. Louis at Oh So Personal, she's doing an event with Janome. And then the following week or a couple of days later, actually, I think it's on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Maybe it's a Monday and a Tuesday. I will be at, that's the Morris Sewing Center. It's Central Illinois, or actually pretty much Northern Illinois. And then I will be at, Stacy, I can't think of the name, but we're
Did you already say Oh So Personal?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's going to be the Fabric Center.
Okay. And then I will be in Omaha, Nebraska. And I believe that the name of that store is that Millard's.
Yes, it's Miller Sewing, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we are getting around, you guys. So if we're near you, set up. Last week I had some people that had traveled like 4 hours because they said nobody ever comes near them. And then when they saw we were going to be there, they said, we're getting a hotel and going to that event. So love to get out and meet you guys. And I can't believe that it's November. It seems like this year has just flown by, but I'm looking forward to sharing got to talk with Stacy, get some dates, but closer after Thanksgiving, sharing with you some Christmas projects that I've been working on. And it's going to be here before we know it, guys. So these will be some last minute, quick gifts. So anyway, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy. In our area, the beautiful leaves are still shining out great. And fortunately, we haven't had a lot of rain, so they're still on the trees. So I'm hoping for a big wind. I don't want to rake.
I don't know. I kind of love the color, Donelle.
Yeah.
I love that it lasts for a while. We've got a lot of color here in Oregon right now, too.
Yeah. And it's so pretty and so natural. And I always just look forward to fall. I think it's probably my favorite season, to be honest with you. So enjoy wherever you're at. I don't know what's going on in Australia. Rita, you want to share what's going on there as far as the seasons? You may be in winter for all I know, but
well, no, they're getting into their summer months.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be summer in no time. It's spring right now for them.
I got to share something funny with you guys that I saw today. That there are people who actually end up in Austria when they had planned to be in Australia. and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a long way apart there. So anyway, when I saw she was on there, I thought I'd share that. So anyhow, have a great week, you guys. See you wherever and enjoy your ruler work.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Donelle.
See ya.